In this episode of the Campcast, I have a conversation with Chaos Theory executive producer and showrunner Scott Kreamer. So if you want to hear what we have to chat about, stick around until after the intro. Hello and welcome to the Cretaceous Campcast. I am Cretaceous Dave, and this is a podcast all about Jurassic World Camp Cretaceous and Jurassic World Chaos Theory. In this special bonus episode I have for you today, I had the honor and privilege of sitting down and having a conversation with Camp Cretaceous and Chaos Theory showrunner and executive producer Scott Kreamer. Also a bucket list item for me, someone I never thought I'd get a chance to interview, and yet here we are after watching season 4. Thank you once again to DreamWorks for letting me watch that early and for setting up this interview. I had the opportunity to interview him, and we chatted about season 4 for a little bit. I could have talked to him all day. Of course, we were, on a set time schedule, but he was a super awesome guy, really nice, and I can't thank him enough for taking the time out of his busy schedule to sit and chat with me about season 4. So, without further ado, here's what we had to say. Amazing, and I know we only have a short amount of time, but before I ask any questions, I just want to say thank you so much for these shows. Camp Cretaceous was life-changing for me in a number of ways. It got me out of a dark place, but also I met some of the best friends I've ever had because of this show. So thank you for all you've done.
Well,
That's
on behalf of all the many people who work so hard to do this, that means a lot. And thanks for being a supporter and a fan, and just appreciate all you've done as well.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. So let's talk about season 4.
Let's do it.
Um, I guess I don't even know where I want to start. There's a lot to unpack with this
Yeah,
season. It was jammed full of everything, and multiple folks I talked to that worked on the show used the phrase "left it all out on the field." And
we knew this was it. So as usual, the team over delivered, but really, this was definitely our most ambitious season, and I'm really proud of it.
yeah, you guys should be. Everything, the writing, the lighting, the sound, the acting, everything was just superb. And maybe it's recency bias, but for a while I'm like, this might be my favorite of the 9 total seasons. And I wasn't sure if something could beat Camp Cretaceous season 3, but I think you may have topped it. So
I
there's a
I,
lot there.
I appreciate that,
Yeah.
because yeah, this is, we back during Camp Cretaceous, we couldn't have come close to pulling off this season. But that's high praise because season 3, it's pretty good
Yeah.
stuff. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it is. I just rewatched an episode of it for Halloween, the Eye of the Storm. It's a very
Oh,
Halloween-like episode. So,
great! That's a great
um,
episode.
yeah. But season 4 of Chaos Theory, one thing that immediately hit me was it's a perfect companion piece to Dominion. I've seen it mentioned by Zach that it's like a great bookend because season 1 of Camp Cretaceous was happening during Jurassic World.
Yeah.
This was happening during Dominion, and something that really stood out to me was it adds to the story of Dominion a lot, but also you know exactly at what point in time in Dominion you are. So you're like, there's Kayla's plane. Oh, the power went out. Oh, Dodgson's getting in the Hyperloop, and it was done so well that we knew exactly where things were. But I noticed it also answered some questions people may have had, like how did the Dilophosaurus get in the tunnel?
Yeah.
And we find out stuff like that. So, going in, was it the plan that the very end, the finale of this series is going to kind of tie perfectly into the film the way the first season of Camp Cretaceous did?
Well, I mean, and thanks. That was what we were shooting for at the very beginning. When we first started on this, when the had the first kernel of the idea for Chaos Theory, we hadn't seen the film yet. we had gotten a pitch about basically what happens, but in my mind, the idea was always to, like Zach said, to do a bookend, to do a survival series season in the first season of Camp Cretaceous, and then ending with the big, survival story tying in with Dominion. But we watched Dominion. We got to see a few early cuts, and our head writer Bethany Armstrong Johnson and I and the writers, we always that was part of the fun of doing the first season of Camp Cretaceous, is really trying to answer those questions. So it's like when we would see things in the movie, it's like, oh, how can we support that? Can we have in the way that, okay, our kids led the T-Rex over to the guy in the yellow jacket in Camp Cretaceous for Fallen Kingdom. Could our kids be the reason that the Dilophosaurus go in the tunnel, or wherever we can have our kids, where someone that doesn't break canon of the film, and like you said, answering that, oh, the power goes out, can we really try to tie it in as much as we can? And it's a lot of hard work by Bethany and the writers, and everybody, because everyone's trying to add to just making this story, making our story, make the whole story richer and bigger, and all tie together.
Yeah, everybody did a great job. If I say that after every question, it's just because it's true. It was a really, really great season. This is something actually I just thought of the way you were explaining things about tying into the movie. We got Wu and Dodgson back, which is great, but I know there are probably, other issues involved, but were there any ideas or thoughts of trying to bring other movie characters into the
Yeah.
series? Like, I thought Ramsey may have been someone that could fit in.
Yep, we definitely kicked the tires on bringing Ramsey in, or bringing in Kayla would have been great. At the end of the day, we're still trying to tell our story, and in telling our story, we're also trying to still make it plausible that our kids are going to run into people and they wouldn't have mentioned that, in the rest of the film. So I think that's one of the reasons we went away from Ramsey a little bit. It seemed implausible maybe that he wouldn't have mentioned what's going on with them as well. So, you know, and we can only make so many characters. You make a human character and then you can't make a dinosaur. So, and we definitely had a big ass of the team just in bringing the Therizinosaurus and the Quetzalcoatlus to life. So, I'm happy where we ended up. But to answer your questions, yeah, we kicked the tires on bringing everybody in. But I'm happy where we ended up.
Yeah, it's good not to shoehorn someone in just for fan service.
Yeah,
So,
and that was always, whether or not it's the dinosaurs in this season or in Camp Cretaceous, we're always there for the Easter egg, but not if it feels like we're only doing it because of the Easter egg.
right.
Yeah.
And you mentioned the dinosaurs where you add a human, you take away a dinosaur. There were so many dinosaurs in this season. I was just like blown away, especially the herding, back into the facility when everything's on fire. I was like, there's just dinosaurs everywhere. This is crazy. Just the animation alone, it was very impressive. Just wanted to throw out there, there's so many dinosaurs. People cannot complain there aren't enough
Yeah,
dinosaurs.
and it's so hard. I mean, just our animation team, and just, it's really hard to animate that many dinosaurs on screen. And it's a cameo, but finally got the Triceratops in that I'd wanted for so long. I wish we'd have been able to do more with it, but glad finally hit the screen.
Yeah,
So
I noticed it too, yeah. Going back to the season overall, I left feeling very emotional. It hit so many emotions, possibly every emotion a human can have while watching this, and there were times where it was like, kind of felt it in your gut and I'd be lying if I say I didn't tear up a time or 2 when it came to Ben and his story,
Yeah,
and it was great that the show matured with its audience, and, these kids have gone through a lot over the last 5 years for us, but a
sure.
longer span of time, across the shows, and I honestly thought going through, I'm like, "They're really gonna do this." Like, Ben is really going to die, and it was upsetting while watching, but it was on the edge of your seat when an episode ended. I had to watch the next episode to see what happened, so it's like, I don't want it doesn't it's not a negative thing, but the season felt really fast and not in a it's fast paced, it's rushed kind of way, in a I need to keep going kind of way just because of the emotional aspect of it. And, was there any serious consideration to actually killing off one of the cast? Like, I know technically Ben did die,
Yeah.
but
Very The answer is very much so. Like, Bethany and I had many conversations, and the crew had many opinions, and we all just, you know, and just there was a lot of people weighing in, and we all were just like, it got close. Like, I mean, and I think we didn't necessarily know as we were writing the season, we weren't exactly sure where we were going to come down, and the crew was like sneaking into our virtual writers' rooms, going like, "What are they going to do? What are we going to do?" And it really came down right to to the as late as we could decide. And I still go back and I still am going back and forth on it. But I'm happy where it ended up. I'm happy that they got a happy ending after everything we put them through over these last 90 episodes or so. Um, but yeah, it was very close. Look, I tried to kill him in Camp Cretaceous. Everybody told me I couldn't, and thank goodness they did. But this one, yeah, it got very close. And I'll be honest with you, as we were recording it with the actors, Sean Gambroni is the only one who knew that we didn't want him to, we wanted him to be cool with everything. So we gave Sean a heads up. In the same way, in season 1 of Chaos Theory, we didn't tell the actors that Brooklyn was alive until that script came out, and so that's how all our actors found out outside of Sean too. So yeah, it was very, very close. It was very close, but I'm glad the guy made it.
yeah, I I left feeling very satisfied. I was like,
Oh,
this
good.
is a this is a great ending. I didn't know what to think or how I expected it to end in any way. And even up until the last minute, you still had me thinking that he died because the subtle little things like his beanie is on the table when they're sitting
Yeah,
down, like, is that a memorial kind of thing? And then when the car pulls up and it's like almost funeral-esque. Um, and then he comes out like, ah, yes, he made it. Okay, great.
yeah,
Um,
and that was, we're mean. That was all by design. Like, I think to the design team, it was like the car should feel like it could be in a funeral procession. Gia should be dressed in black. Yeah, I'm glad. Well, what you said about it feeling satisfying. That's all you can hope for. That's what we were really trying to do. This was a big plane to land after all these seasons, and like I said, the job that Bethany and the writers and the entire art team and the entire team of who did everything. I just have nothing but gratitude, and I'm in awe of the work they did.
Yeah, I said it, I'll say it again. It was great.
Yes.
Can't stop thinking about it. And before recording a full spoiler review for the show, I'm gonna watch it another one or two, times to really take it all in and like, did I miss anything? Because even after watching all the shows, going back and watching like Camp Cretaceous episodes, you can kind of pick up on little things that like
Yeah.
they've been building from early and we see the outcome of it, 4 or 5 seasons through 2 shows later, and it's great how much thought and care has gone into the writing and these characters
Yeah.
and everything. It's just incredible, and, some people, unfortunately write it off as, "Oh, it's a cartoon." Like, it's so much more than that, and you're you and your team just, incredible job. Can't say enough good things
Well, I
about it.
really appreciate that. I really,
Yeah.
really do.
Yeah, one thing I found interesting, came out of nowhere to me is Ernest shows up, and I thought we had seen the last of him,
Sure.
and, I guess we don't get anything else with the DLN, but what was the thought process in, like, bringing him back? And at first I was like, "Oh, this kinda stinks, he's being used," and then he ended up being very helpful at the
Yes.
end, even though he had no idea he was being helpful, he was just kind of the, like, bumbling fool, um, sorta thing, but it was
Yeah,
it was a
but
good it was a good surprise,
well, I'm glad, and I'm also glad it kind of gave Brooklyn a moment to go, yeah, even though this guy was a buffoon, I still didn't necessarily handle things how I could have, and that helped. Yeah, that kind of, I want to, as most good ideas, probably came from Bethany. But I just remember us discussing how to get the kids into Biosyn, and I could be wrong, but I feel like Bethany may have pitched the idea that it'd be Ernest, and it was like, wow, that would, because the original plan for Ernest and the DLN was much darker than it ended up being. Um, and it was probably better that we did end up lightening that story up because so many dark things were happening during in the season and in the show. So yeah, I think originally it just started to solve a plot point, and then as so many things do, and to be honest, when we made the decision for Brooklyn to lose her hand, it started as, okay, well, how do we make it feel the stakes real, and then you're trying to solve a plot problem, and then what ends up happening is, in doing so, then now you get to enrich these characters, and we get to sell the whole thing with Brooklyn and Darius and really support the character growth and the character arc while answering a plot point and bringing back a fun character. And Skylar did such an amazing job voicing Ernest, and so yeah. So it wasn't always the plan, but again, I'm really happy and excited to where the thing ended up.
Yeah, when he first showed up, I was like, "What is going on?" But
Yeah,
it ended up playing out, really well. Um, so it was, um yeah, that. So, I guess, since we're just about out of time, I have a question that you probably can't answer or don't have an answer to,
okay.
but it was the perfect end to everything for these characters. Like you said, we finished off with a happy ending, but something I noticed with, like, other DreamWorks properties is after a while, a film ends up getting made. If the right pitch and the right idea came to you, what are your thoughts on a film that can, for real, wrap everything up for these characters? Like, is that something you would be down for, or are you just happy where we left it and leave it alone?
I would. I I love these characters, and I never thought we would do more after Camp Cretaceous. So I can't. So I can't say no to anything. We have a lot of runway before rebirth in this timeline. So yeah, if I would never say no to, because I these watch these kids grow up. So I'd never say no to anything. I don't know if anyone's got any plans on doing any more, but you know, as long as we were still doing these characters and the franchise justice, I'd, like I said, I'd never say no.
Yeah, I'd love to see them on the
Yeah.
big screen. I was like, maybe the finale of this should be in theaters. Like, that would be just great to see. I
Well,
would love to watch it.
yeah, if you make some calls, Dave, and we'll make it.
I'll see what I can do.
Appreciate that.
Yeah. So thank you so much for your time, Scott. This has been amazing. Um,
Absolutely.
thank All right. Thank you once again to Scott for the opportunity to chat with you about season 4. Like I said earlier, dream come true, bucket list item, one of the top people I've ever wanted to interview. So I am forever grateful to Scott and to the folks at DreamWorks and everyone that set this up behind the scenes. It was something special and something I'm never going to forget. So I really hope you guys enjoyed it. And once again, I thank Scott for his time. And who knows? We'll see what other kind of season 4 content I have coming. Just because the show's over doesn't mean this podcast is going to come to an end. I've got some cool things in the pipeline. I've got some interviews coming up and got some other fun stuff. So stick around, stay subscribed, keep watching the channel, listening to the podcasts, and I've got plenty of more still to come. So that about wraps this one up. I want everyone to stay safe, stay Jurassic, and have a good one. So long.